Hi there, Lori Elke here, and welcome to Elke Art. Today we are going to do a fun painting of donuts. If you've got a sweet tooth, follow along, and thank you again so much for joining me on my channel. Got all kinds of fun tutorials, so please make sure you hit that like button and subscribe down below so that every time I put up a new one, you will be notified, all right? Happy painting. Hope it doesn't make you too hungry for sweets. For this project, I have some paper ready. I'm using a noodle and some paint. And I'm starting off by kind of spinning my noodle into some gray paint. I made my gray paint by mixing some black and some white. And I'm gonna try to stamp it. Now, if your stamp doesn't end up perfect, you might have to twist it a little bit too. Sometimes twisting your stamp helps it make a smoother imprint. It just depends on how much you've used your noodle before. So I'm twisting it in the paint and then I'm twisting it on my paper to get a nice stamp. And I'm gonna see how many I can fit on my paper. It's okay if one of them goes a little bit off the page. It's not that big of a deal. And if this gray stamp doesn't end up like perfectly filled, that's okay too, because this is gonna be the bottom layer. So if there's still holes in it, not a big deal. Next, I'm gonna take my brush and I'm just gonna brush down a little bit from the bottom of each of my donuts. So I'm just pulling the paint downward and brushing that down so that it's going to end up looking like the donuts have a little bit of a shadow underneath. So I'm just using some little brush strokes and pulling that paint down. And then you can kind of smooth it out on the side too if you want to, or if you just want to leave the brush strokes going straight down, that works as well. And you can kind of use your brush to smooth out the any holes that were left from the stamp too. So if you had some parts of the paint that didn't get quite filled in, you can use your brush to kind of fill in those parts too. So we want kind of these circles, but then we also have kind of a darker area below them as well. Now I'm going to switch over to brown, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp my brown on top of my gray. So the same way I stamped my gray, I'm going to go ahead and get some brown paint. And I didn't even wash my noodle in between. It wasn't too big of a deal. You might want to use, two separate ones for this, two separate little noodle slices. But the brown should go right on top. And this brown was mixed with a little bit of white, so it's a little bit lighter. I wanted to go for that donut color, so I mixed a little bit of white with my brown first, and then kind of made a big puddle on my paper plate here. And then now I can stamp it onto my donuts. And you can see there's still some gray that's kind of floating underneath the stamp. And so that is used to make the shadow of the donut. I'm using my paintbrush just to kind of smooth out my areas that didn't kind of get all filled in. And then after I smooth out my areas, I'm gonna have to let this dry before I do any decorating. So put it to the side, or maybe wait till another day, or you can pull out a hair dryer and hair dry it. All right, my donuts are now dry, and now I'm going to start adding some decorations. So you can see I am painting on some black frosting, or brown frosting to look like chocolate. This is just a dark brown or regular brown paint, and I'm using a flat brush so I can kind of get a nice coverage. And then I'm going to wash my brush and dry it off on a paper towel, and now I'm switching to pink. So you can pick whatever colors that you have to help decorate and add some frosting to your donuts. But that's the first step in decorating, is to go ahead and frost them. And notice that when I'm frosting my donuts, I'm leaving a little bit of the brown showing through, especially on the outside of the donut, so that it still looks like it's part of the donut is showing. So I'm going to go ahead and do some yellow down here. And notice I like to kind of wave my brush a little bit when I do it to make kind of a wavy line. That makes the frosting look a little bit more fun. I'm also trying not to go over the center part of my donut. I want to leave that so that it is still visible. And then I'm going to go ahead and add some kind of a bluish color to this donut here to add the frosting with my big brush. And there's so many different colors of frosting, so you could do lots of different ones. This one these are the colors that I had. All right, now I have a smaller brush and I want to use that to make some like a drizzle of frosting across my donut. So I'll just kind of make a wavy line back and forth over the top with my little brush here. And I'm trying to kind of decorate the top of that with kind of this wavy line. I could also, do it down here. Maybe I'll do a wavy line that goes around my donut this time instead of side to side across my donut. And I can switch to another color. Maybe I'll do a chocolate wavy line too, so it's got vanilla and chocolate frosting on the top. You really can play around with lots of different things on this. I just wanted to give you some ideas of things that you could try. I'm also using some polka dots with the back of my brush. This is great for sprinkles, and if you want to, you can even pull that a little bit so that the sprinkles are more long in shape instead of just round. So I'm gonna kind of mix and match both, but I'll go back and forth between these two donuts and add some various sprinkles in the different colors that I have laid out on my palette. I tried to think of some fun colors that would work well for these donuts, and I'm just making sure to kind of keep dipping my brush in the back in the paint so that I can still get some more and more sprinkles and things, and that I have enough paint on my brush as I add it to my donuts. Keep on doing this until I've decided that my donuts are decorated enough, and then we'll of course call it a masterpiece. Thanks so much for joining me today on Elke Art, and I hope you had fun decorating and designing your donuts. Please feel free to share your pictures with me on social media. I would love to see what you create, and please join me again on Elke Art to do more fun tutorials. Bye!